listening to the Talk Tank Podcast.
I'm very excited. This week we have, his name is John Hilsmeyer, or John Hilsmeyer. He'll correct me on how to actually say that. Sounds German to me. But he is going to be my next guest on the Talk Tank podcast this Monday at his place of employment, which is Valhalla Tattooing. I love the name. I'm a big Man of War fan, so he is an interesting character. He's got his own little, he does his own little video shorts of, and plays different characters, like a dumb Australian tourist going through the tolls in New Hampshire, and asking silly questions, a Bigfoot hunter by the name of Brock McKee, I think it is, and his friend, so he plays all these different characters, and it's very, very, very funny. It really is, and his accents are spot on. And he's also a competitive shooter, so I think that's his main gig. I didn't watch too much of that because I can't really see what's going on, and I don't know a lot about it. I do have my safety license, but that's about it. Maybe he'll give me a couple of pointers and, take me out shooting sometime. I don't know. I'd love to, but a lot of his stuff involves competitive shooting. So we will be keeping this podcast clean because a lot of the people that he teaches are minors, and he wants to, keep it respectful. And, we try to do that on the podcast anyway, especially because I know my own kids someday will listen to this, and the odd F-bomb or something isn't too bad, but you don't want to start talking like, sometimes these guys like Joe Rogan and Gavin McInnes and stuff, they go into topics that I'm like, are you really sure you want to hear, or you want your little girl to hear about your sexual activity as a 20-year-old when they're older? I mean, I just don't think that it's something that I would want my kids to hear, some of the stuff that they just put out there in the airwaves. Yeah, so he's going to be talking about his competitive shooting, his tattoo artistry, and more importantly, well, for me anyway, and for this podcast, his Bigfoot experience. Now, the reason why I'm having him on the podcast is because, and I don't want to give too much away, because when you disclose a location, and this is why a lot of people don't actually report Bigfoot sightings on their property, because then all of a sudden you've got people, traipsing around their property looking for Bigfoot. It's almost like that. There's a website that's called, oh my god, I can't remember the name of it now, but it's all the haunted locations in America. Dark something. And one of the locations was Spiderwick Cemetery. Apparently that's in Spencer, Massachusetts, and apparently it's kind of like a portal. And it got to the point where they had to basically fence it off, and the cops basically patrol the place 24/7. Spiderwick Cemetery, Spider Gates, because the gates look like a spider. So, I wish I could remember the name of that website. I'm the worst journalist ever. That's probably why I do construction to make ends meet, because I forget things. But anyway, yeah, so John Hilsmeyer will be coming on here and talking about the fact that his brother bought some property way up north. That's all I'm going to say. It's way up north. And I want to get the story straight, and I'm sure if I don't get it straight here, he will straighten me out. But he said that there is Bigfoot activity on the property, and he experienced Bigfoot activity. He saw prints. He had objects thrown at him. And the people that live there know all about it. And he is 100% convinced that Bigfoot exists. Now, his videos, one of his characters, Brock McKee, is an Australian Bigfoot hunter who is absolutely hilarious, by the way. And it's kind of poking fun at, not even poking fun, but it's just making, Bigfoot hunting, squatching as they call it, into a kind of a parody, but he 100% believes in the phenomenon known as Bigfoot, Sasquatch. The Native Americans have like 80 names for it or something, and a lot of the Native American tribes just see him as a person, as another tribe. And my stepson actually asked me an interesting question, a good question that I didn't have an answer to, and he's like, why wouldn't I have found this by now and stuff? And we already know that animal predation, takes care of like corpses in a matter of days. I've never seen a dead deer, for instance, when I was out hiking, or even a dead friggin' squirrel. So, I mean, animal predation takes care of a lot of carcasses pretty quickly. So that's not even an issue. But his issue was, with when helicopters can see heat signatures in the woods, why wouldn't they have picked Bigfoot up by now? Now, for a start, especially the Pacific Northwest, I was telling my friend Neil this, it's like the size of Germany. I don't exactly know how big it is, but I know it's massive. And secondly, these, like, I've listened to a lot of true crime shows, and a lot of these choppers that you send up, they cost money. They cost a lot of money, and if your husband goes missing, and the state doesn't pay for it, you've got to pay for people to go up there with this equipment and these choppers. And I think it's like, it's $100 an hour or something like that. Sorry, I had to pause that for a second there because my daughter was coming up the stairs and I didn't want her bursting into the room, but she's going into the other bedroom. But yeah, secondly, it's very expensive to hire these people. I don't know if it's, you can hire private companies and stuff, but I mean, it costs you an arm and a leg. And to search an area the size of Germany with one of these helicopters is going to cost a fortune. Thirdly, what was my third point? Yeah, thirdly, it's like, even if they do see some kind of a heat signature, it could be a bear, it could be a deer, it could be a moose, it could be an elk. They don't know what it is, they can just see the heat. I think that's how it goes. And fourthly, I think the government knows about it, and I don't think that they want people knowing about the presence of a great ape/hominid bipedal creature running around the state parks and forests of North America, because it's a multi-billion-dollar industry, and I don't think that they want to scare the shit out of people. And I don't think that they want to stop people from going and having picnics in the woods and camping and hiking and kayaking and all the other stuff that they do that might bring them in close proximity with one of these creatures. So the other question was, well, why haven't we seen one just on the ground? And I mean, well, people have seen them. There's thousands and thousands and thousands of people that have seen them. Most people don't talk about it, but when they do talk about it, and I've listened to so many cases through different podcasts, and they talk about it, and it's unreal, like the kind of stories these people tell. Now, let's say 10% of them are lying. I've heard about 500 cases that I've no doubt in my mind that, they're telling the truth. So another point is that this thing can smell. It's like they say that we smell to a dog like a skunk smells to us. So these things are like, if they are like us and they can smell us like skunks, they're going to know where we are. And if they live in the woods, they're going to be like, those when you live in the woods for a while, you can pick up everything. That's only after a few weeks. The soldiers in Vietnam and stuff could really, detect their surroundings a lot better than they could when they first arrived there. But I mean, these things grew up in the woods, and they live in the woods. That's their environment, so they're probably very attuned to their natural environment, and they can smell and hear us coming from a mile away. So anyway, it should be a good podcast, and this is just an intro podcast to get you all fired up, my all 30 listeners, and it should be good fun. I'm going to meet John in his place of employment. We're going to have a couple of beers, crack a couple of cold ones, and talk some Bigfoot and competitive shooting. And I really want to talk about those videos he makes. He's really good at that. So I will talk to you guys later. See you on the other side. Okay, so we are here with... How do you pronounce your name, John? Because I keep
Hilsmeyer.
Hilsmeyer. Okay.
Correct. Yep.
And where does that name originate from?
Somewhere in Germany, actually.
I knew it. I pegged that. Remember I said that on the intro?
Yeah. Good ear. Good ear.
No, that was an easy one. Hanratty's when you start having problems with last names because everybody's like, where the hell is that from? But we are here in Valhalla Tattooing.
That is correct. Here at Valhalla Tattoo, right on High Street in beautiful downtown Clinton, Massachusetts.
Okay. So, and the reason why I'm sitting here is because I threw a flag up on Clinton forums asking for people with interesting stories because it's actually a really good resource, Clinton forums.
Absolutely.
And plus, I love the fact that anybody that you do get to interview is going to be local, and you can use your portable equipment, which is better quality. So that's why I do that. My other big source is Reddit. Reddit's a really good source for getting people to tell you some cool stories, but that's always via Skype. And then the third biggest resource is word of mouth. So when I interview you, you can tell me about somebody else in the same field, in the same kind of subject that we're discussing. And so you are a tattooer.
Correct.
You are also a competitive shooter.
I am. That takes up a lot of my time, but it is one of the funnest things I've ever done in my life, by far.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's what I do is steel challenge shooting. I use rimfire rifles mainly, and it's basically like drag racing with a gun, So you have basically 5 steel targets, and you have one designated as your last target to hit. So you hear a beep, and they're timing you, and you just shoot them as fast as you can, and it's one of the funnest things I've ever done in my life.
Now, are you moving? Are you mobile, or do you have to just stand and wait for the targets to pop up?
There's one stage, official stage out of 8, that you actually have to move from a box to another box, which is 6 feet away, called Outer Limits, and that one's tricky. That one's real tricky. But otherwise, you're stationary. You're standing in one spot.
And things pop up?
No, they're just on 2x4s usually, just 10-inch steel plates and stuff like that. So,
like the video games they have sometimes when you have to take a tutorial, they'll have the little things that pop up, and you've got to basically learn how to play the game.
Yeah.
But excuse me. So, and so you take part in these competitive shooting competitions
every weekend. Absolutely.
Oh, really? Every weekend?
Oh, yeah.
Holy crap. And you travel all over the country?
I've been to a few states, yeah. Been to Georgia, Pennsylvania, and New Hampshire, and obviously Massachusetts, and New Jersey so far. I'm going to be shooting up in Maine next weekend, actually, which will be fun. So I'm looking forward to that.
Now, what weapon do you use for this?
Weapon? I use a Ruger 1022 rifle. One with iron sights and one with red dot sight. So that's 2 different divisions. One is rimfire rifle iron and rimfire rifle open. That's the one with the red dot sight.
The Ruger. Who was it? I was recently reading about that had a Ruger. Some true crime site, and he used a Ruger. Who the hell was that? I can't remember. But anyway, so now, are you part of a team, or is this like a...
I am fortunate to have several sponsors. I'm on Team Stripling Custom, and you can go check out Billy Striplin's stuff at striplingcustom.com. He makes a lot of fantastic aftermarket parts, especially my favorite one is probably the 90-degree Seymour mount. I'm sure you don't know what I'm talking about there, but it brings the red dot very, very low to the bore of your rifle. So you get a perfect cheek weld every time. And I just leaps and bounds when I started using that thing. And Billy's a really, really cool guy. He does a lot of cool custom gunsmithing. You can't go to like Cabela's and buy this part. Like it's custom. Excellent stuff. I also shoot for Tandem Cross up there in New Hampshire. They make tons and tons of great aftermarket products for rimfire race guns, and I absolutely recommend everybody check them out at tandemcross.com. I also shoot for Steel Target Paint. Larry Joe Steely is a cool guy. I love watching him and his son's videos on Facebook. It's awesome. So, also shoot for Continental Firearms over here in Clinton, down the street there.
It used to be called DC Firearms, right?
Or IDC, yep. Got a new owner, Dean Shannon. He's a super cool guy. I got to give a shout out to him and the crew down there. You guys are awesome. Appreciate you.
Now, what happened to the last owner? Did he just retire?
I have no idea.
He gave me my class.
Oh, did he?
My safety class down on Pearl Street, Plain Street.
Yep.
So I took my safety course. That was my wife's birthday present for me. But I know that I have to go to the police station, have people that vouch for me, talk to them, and you know, if I'm from another country,
right.
conflict zone. Mm-hmm, so I'm like,
we're fortunate to live in Massachusetts, you know, where basically you got to go through leaps and bounds and all sorts of hurdles just to be able to buy a box of 22 ammo. It's crazy. You know, get fingerprinted at the police station, have an interview at the police station, pay $100 just to exercise your Second Amendment right. That's crazy.
Well, that's what a lot of Europeans don't think. They think that in America you can just
go buy
some
an
states
Uzi at the gas station.
Yeah.
Well, you know,
some states you kind of probably can.
Some states. I'd say 90% of the states are just way easier than Massachusetts. You know, all you need is a driver's license, and you go in, you pass a background check, and off you go. You know, maybe half an hour.
Plus, you have the when you go to a secondhand a gun show, you can buy weapons without a background check, right? In some states.
There's a lot of controversy about the gun show loophole. Any gun show that I've been to, they have little stations set up to do instant background checks. So I think that's basically a myth. However, I have been up, in little super rural parts of Maine and been to little swap meets, and I've seen people selling like a shotgun here and there, or a little revolver. And that's still technically legal to do that, as long as, it's on the purchaser to be like, hey, I'm not a felon, because person-to-person gun sales are still legal in many states, which is a good thing, in my opinion,
Yeah, a lot of my friends have, I had a few comments yesterday from just like teaching my son yesterday how to shoot a little air rifle. Those things would give you a little bruise if they hit you.
Oh, yeah, those are nasty. Those can be nasty.
Yeah, but it's... It looks kind of intimidating, but it's just a $50 gun from Walmart. And,
cool. That's how I started shooting.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We got a beer can and shook it up and made sure that it would spray when we hit it. And it's just some father and son time. It's just a way to get away from the video games, because video games is
get some fresh air.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. So, especially New York City too. I hear New York City's like Japan for getting the firearms.
Yeah, just forget it. Don't even try.
Chicago too, which has one of the highest murder rates in the country, gun murder rates, is absolutely impossible to get a gun. Yet we have all these gun deaths. So that's one that I know the conservatives bring that one up a lot to argue against the anti-gun people. Look at Chicago.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's laws. Adding more laws isn't going to affect the ones that are already initially being broken. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's illegal for you to have a firearm if you're a felon. And everything after that, come on. You know what I mean? Murder is illegal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So adding more restrictions and infringements on people like me
isn't going to do a damn thing.
Isn't going to do a damn thing.
No.
That's super common sense, dude. Come on.
Yeah, like me, they have to do a background check, I'm sure, but sure. I've never even got a speeding ticket. Never, not once. I don't know how, because, I don't know. I'm not the slowest driver in the world, but there's the phone. What are those things?
Yeah, what is that? Landmine.
It's like a probe droid.
Let me just go ahead and take care of that real quick.
That's okay. We can leave that in. So anything else you want to say about the competitive shooting world?
Oh, I think it's great. I think it's great for you when you go out there to the range. First of all, it's one of the safest sports that I've ever done. You know, I used to ride dirt bikes. I used to race dirt bikes. I used to play ice hockey, and I got all sorts of messed up doing those. And this literally is the safest sport. They're extremely strict on how you handle your firearm. Especially when you're up in the shooting box. You'll have a range officer standing directly next to you, and they'll give you commands. Like you can go ahead and make ready. So you can pull out your rifle, pull out your pistol, load it, and you take a sight picture where you basically just kind of aim at your targets and figure out which order you're going to shoot them and all that stuff. So it's very family friendly too. We see 8-year-old kids out there with their mom and dad shooting. You see senior citizens out there shooting, having the time of their life. You know, it's a great way to spend your weekend.
Yeah, I know it's hard for a lot of people across the pond to wrap their heads around, but I mean, I'm all for it. Even my wife is pretty liberal. I mean, she's a Hillary person, and
sorry to hear that. Just kidding. That's fine.
I'm saying no. We get in so many fights, but
ooh,
we'll probably have to cut that part out. But she grew up in Kentucky, and she was in military academy for a couple of years to, I don't know, straighten her out or something. But so she's all for owning personal firearms,
Oh, okay.
She was all for the Confederate flag too. Well, that whole debacle stirred up. But she's like, well, for us when we were kids, it was never. It never meant that. It was just like Southern pride.
Absolutely, and that's how I still see it. I personally, I see it as just I'm proud to be from the South. I have a lot of friends from the South, and they're all great people. None of them have even muttered even vaguely a racist thing to me ever. So.
Well, it's funny because people think about construction workers and stuff, and I've said this on the podcast many times. And people talk about white privilege and stuff. If someone says the N-word on the construction site, people will just roll their eyes and you just disassociate.
Oh yeah, that's it.
That guy's an idiot.
Yeah, right.
So that's how we see it. Anyway, so politics aside,
please.
You also, how long did it take you to become a tattoo artist? What school do you go to do that?
Well, you don't. You get an apprenticeship with an established studio if you're lucky enough. You got to basically just show up and beg these guys to let you, mop the floor or sweep up and clean up, take out the trash, and if they like you enough, they'll tell you to start Monday, and that's what you do. And you do that for anywhere from 9 months to 2 years. Just depends when they think you're ready to start tattooing, So that's kind of what I did. I did that over in Cambridge in Massachusetts here, and it took me about 9 months to do my apprenticeship, and then went off on my own, went to a different studio, and went from there. That was, 18 years ago.
Wow. Yeah, that's when it first became legal, I remember that.
It was legal that year.
Yeah,
that I started doing that. So
yeah, I just come here, I came here almost 20 years ago, and I remember it becoming legal just when I got here.
Yeah.
You had to go to New Hampshire and get it done, right?
You did, yep.
Just like you had to do with beer on a Sunday.
That's correct. Yep, I remember that.
I made that trip many a time. So, have you ever messed up a tattoo?
No comment, sir.
Okay.
I'd never mess up tattoos ever, or spell things wrong, or especially screw up those Roman numerals ever. Never, ever.
Okay, so what was your first job?
First job?
Yeah, your first actual tattoo.
Well, I did an outline of a star on this poor girl, and it took me about 45 minutes to do that.
Oh.
And that today, oh my God, I feel terrible to this very day. That now is maybe, it would take me 3 minutes, maybe.
Really?
Maybe 3. Yeah, took a good solid 45 though.
Boy.
Yeah, she was a brave soul. Bless her heart.
Okay, so
Yep.
let's get to the real meat of why we are here. And this is when I actually put that flag up on Clinton forums. You were tagged. Someone tagged you.
They did.
Yeah.
Kristen Briner. Yeah.
Yeah, they tagged your name. And I'm like, because when people do that, they want, obviously it's on Facebook, so they want you to take notice of this post. So I'm like, and I tagged a few people. A few of them didn't really take the bait. But, excuse me. But we got in contact, and because I had mentioned Bigfoot, and I'm obsessed with Bigfoot. And that's where it all started. With
Definitely a Sasquatch right there.
well, I listened to your that's one of your videos first, actually, because I've got to know who you were, and then I liked your Facebook page. Now, are those your you have a video series about Brock McKee and Krusty?
Krusty, I love Krusty. He reminds me of every single person I went to high school with in California.
Yeah, I thought it was a bit of a surfer dude kind of thing. Now, did he? Is that on YouTube or just?
That's
Facebook?
actually all of my stuff is just on Facebook, and it's public. So
you should put that on YouTube though.
Yeah, maybe.
That'd be fun.
Maybe I will. I don't know. I just do it for fun. I do it for me. You know, I'm not trying to get 10 million likes or whatever. I think it's funny. I put it out there. I guess a couple of my friends think it's funny too. So
I think it's very funny though. It's
right.
uniquely funny. I
Thank
mean,
you.
when you were talking, what got me was when I knew that you were actually really on point was when you called the Triscuits crisps. Because only the English and the British and the Australians say that.
Right.
So I'm like, this guy must have some kind of connection, because a lot of Americans don't make the connection between crisps and chips.
Yep.
You know, they're called different things. I'm like, he must have an Australian connection, because he's gone about his bum and he's gone about crisps, and then you licked that icicle, and I'm like, I lost it. I laughed my balls off.
Good. That's what it's for. You know, just have fun, enjoy. You know. But it's okay to be kind of silly and just screw around sometimes. You know what I'm saying?
But that's a talent that I never had. I can't do accents. You know?
You can't do accents!
No.
What the hell?
I can do my own accent, but...
Yeah, well, that one's pretty good. Do an American accent. Do your best American accent right now.
Jesus Christ, you're putting me on the spot here.
Let's have a conversation.
Could I have a medium regular, please, with 3 equals and cream?
Sure. Would you like that for here to go, sir?
I think I'm going to take it to go.
Okay. One moment, please. It was okay. It's still very, very. You could hear the underline.
My wife says when I do an American accent, it's like the rich kid, annoying American accent. She's like, you have the worst American, the most annoying American accent when you try to do it. So I don't do it.
All right, fair enough. One accent, I love them. I've been doing accents my whole life, just screwing around. One accent that drives me nuts that I cannot do is, well, let me tell you a story. I was in Sydney, and I took a cab, and this guy was Chinese. He was an older guy, and he told me his life dream, just the number one bucket list in the world of his was to go to the States, mate, go to Las Vegas, and see Celine Dion.
Really?
Yeah. And I was trying to keep a straight face. I was like, really, dude?
Celine Dion.
You know what I mean? Right.
This must have been the 90s.
He spoke like a Chinese guy and an Australian at the exact same time. I can't even do it. I practiced it 100 times. I can't even do it. It's crazy. So I gotta still work on that. I'll get it someday, but I was like, wow.
I showed my son your cat video where you made the cat.
The nads.
Yeah, where you could talk to your cat and it could talk to you. He lost it.
Cool.
All your mama jokes and stuff.
Yeah.
That was very, very funny. But there's a guy, you know Ryan Katsu Rivera?
I don't believe I do.
He is the co-host of the Gavin McGuinness show.
Okay.
Do you know Gavin McGuinness?
Absolutely no idea.
Oh boy, you have to look him up. He's funny.
Okay.
He was the the head guy in the Proud Boys that was fighting Antifa down in New York and stuff there. He created a lot of controversy, but he actually left the Proud Boys because he was bringing too much heat on them. And it's just a beer drinking, pro-Western.
Very chauvinistic.
Yeah. But then there's black guys and Spanish guys and stuff. It's not racist at all, but they were accused of that anyway. So he left, he stood down. But Ryan Katsu Rivera is his co-host, and he's Puerto Rican / Japanese. And he does accents. He can do Bill Burr, like, down to a T. He can do Tony Soprano down to a T. And I mean, I just marvel at anybody that can do accents, because I could never do it, And, he gives a little... There's one podcast just dedicated to how to do different accents. Like, Marlon Brando and stuff. How to do a Marlon Brando. And you've got to puff your face up and do this. And you've got to speak from your diaphragm. All these different instructions. But, yeah, that was impressive. I think you should get into that business, if there's a business for that.
Sure.
So, your brother lives down in Boston.
He lives in Boston, yep.
Where does he live in Boston?
I really don't know. Right in the middle of Boston. Oh, and it is a nightmare to drive there. I don't even bother anymore. I just take the T to like a park or something and just Uber if I ever go there, which I try not to do. It's a nightmare, dude. Like downtown Boston. Really? Yeah, it's awful.
Like a financial district? That downtown?
No. I'm not even... It's by the big hospital somewhere.
Oh,
I don't know. I hate
Back
Boston.
Bay.
Yeah.
I hate Boston too.
Yeah. It's awful.
When I first came here, I thought I was in fucking... I'll cut that out. I thought I was in the Eastern Bloc before it opened up to the West. That's how it felt. It was like, like Poland or like, what do you call those Eastern Bloc countries? It just looked so run down and like it was freezing and...
Yeah, it's terrible.
I
Concrete jungle. Yeah. It's not for me.
I was not impressed at all.
No, terrible.
I remember going for a walk. I got here on January the 12th. Woke up on the morning of January 13th and went for a walk along the Charles River.
Why?
Well,
crazy.
I wanted to see it, but I'd never felt cold like that before, and I was not prepared for it.
Absolutely.
And I remember I was wearing these pants, and I bought them back home because I thought they were going to protect me from the cold. They were like kind of that material. When you scratch it, it sounds like it makes a scrapey sound. What do you call that material?
Leather. Pleather.
No, it was like
vinyl,
but they had like 3 little holes where your dink is
for ventilation.
Yeah. But the cold wind was blowing
right up in the old.
It just went numb.
Terrible. I
never felt cold like it.
I bet.
But so your brother lives in Boston.
He does. Yep, and he is a butthole. Not gonna lie.
Butthole?
A butthole. Yes.
What's that mean?
Well,
I know what it means.
Just basically from day one, he's been kind of a butthole. Here's a good example. I'm going to give you an example. All right. So I'm in KB Toy Store. I'm with my brother, with my parents. My parents are in the other aisle of the toy store. So I'm with my brother. And he said, "Oh, Brian, I got to pee." And he's like 2.5 years older than me. He knows better. So he says, "Well, dude, you can just pee right here. You can pee on the floor. It's fine. This carpet is kind of like grass because they know they have kids in here all the day. You can pee wherever you want. Go for it, dude." So
how old are you?
I have no idea. Young. 3. I don't know. 4. I have no idea. Old enough to just be like, "Oh, okay, cool." So I peed on the floor in KB Toys. My parents come around the corner and they're like, "What the hell are you doing?" I said, "Well, Brian said it was cool, dude." So, they talked to him about that. And basically, just he's been a butthole like that for many, 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 many years.
He's the older brother.
Older brother, right.
Does he still do that?
Yeah. Well, that's going to bring us into the actual Sasquatch thing.
This is a segue.
Little segue, right. So, what else has he done?
He told me the story about what else he did.
One was Jenny Green Teeth. When I lived in Virginia, I would take this little bike trail over to my buddy's house through the woods, and there was kind of a big, almost pond. It was completely covered in moss, And he would say, well, Jenny Greenteeth was, murdered, and her body was in that pond, and, she's very lonely down there, and if you don't ride your bike by fast enough, she'll reach up and grab you, and, you're going to be her boyfriend.
Jesus Christ.
So I rip right by that thing, man. He just filled my head with lies.
He's got a good imagination.
Yeah, he does, but you know what? He was definitely a butthole. So, years of this.
Yeah.
I'd always believe it, and he'd get the better of me sometimes. But so he buys this property. He's living in the middle of Boston. It's terrible. He has a child, and he decides, hey, I want to have a little place to go and get away. And looks at properties up in Maine. Gets a property, just dirt cheap. It's been logged out, but it's still extremely thick, dense woods, but it was owned by a logging company. So again, got it dirt cheap. You got like 17 acres up there on the end of a dirt road. This is like way, way, way up there in the middle of nowhere, dude. It's like past Bangor, Maine, and that's like you're almost in Canada. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
yeah, but I went up to Poland, Maine, which is south of that, and I'm in the store and everybody's talking French.
Yeah,
I'm like, holy shit. Am I this close to Canada?
Yeah, oh yeah.
So it was crazy.
Signs up there are all French. Bienvenue.
Yeah, everybody's dressing weird like Europeans and shit.
Yeah, wearing
tight
Speedos
pants,
and gold chains. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
Banana hammocks.
Neon ones. So, anyways, he's telling me all this stuff. Oh man, there's Sasquatch up there. There's Sasquatch. There's definitely a Sasquatch up there. Dude, I swear to God, there's... I'm like, yeah, all right, Jenny Greenteeth. You can pee on the floor in KB Toys. Yeah. I didn't believe him. I didn't believe a word this guy said. But he had been up to this property, sent up a tent. There's nothing on it,
So he doesn't have
just empty land.
So he doesn't have a log cabin or something?
Nope. It's just, it's very, rectangular. It's not wide. The actual property... It's not wide, but it's very long. It's maybe maybe 100 yards wide.
100 yards wide.
Yeah, it's like a football field. All right.
Right.
And 17.
That's for our American listeners.
Yeah. So he says, I went up there. The first night I was up there, I set up my tent, and I was hearing these blueberries hitting my tent at the middle of the night, midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. Blueberries everywhere. But he's in a meadow, all right? He calls it the meadow. It's like a little field.
It's a clearing.
Right it's a big clearing. There's no trees hanging over this thing for 30 feet this way, 100 feet this way, whatever. So
how do they know they're blueberries?
He found them all over the tent.
Right.
I mean, next to the tent in the morning. So I was like, I'm not buying that, dude. You're going to have to come up with something better than that. So he's telling me Sasquatch this, Sasquatch that, and I'm laughing at this guy. I'm laughing. I'm like, dude, no.
Now, was he always a Bigfoot person?
No. Neither was I. Absolutely not. I saw the Patterson Gimlin film. I didn't know what to think of it. I didn't really think anything of it.
I still don't know what to think of it.
Yeah, I mean, could be not. I don't know. Whatever. Well, the number one thing is, to me, it seems like this thing turns and looks directly at these guys who just showed up on horses in the middle of nowhere in California or whatever, and it just keeps cruising. It doesn't just... We know by hearing, these things can just bounce. They can just split.
They can run like a freaking leopard.
Right. So, and it just trots off, no big deal. And especially with them aiming a camera. I don't know if they can... I think that Sasquatch absolutely know what firearms are.
Yeah, I've heard that.
I don't think that maybe they can always distinguish binoculars or a camera from a firearm. You know what I'm saying? So it's weird to me that it doesn't just bolt and it just kind of cruises off into the bushes or whatever. But anyways.
Maybe she had kids close or something.
Never know. Yeah, could be.
Something like that, because the thingy seems very credible. What do you call him? Gimlin?
Yep.
He seems like a no-nonsense kind of guy. I've saw interviews with him and stuff, and he's like a kind of a hard ass. He's an alpha male type.
Yeah, definitely. It's a cool guy.
Yeah.
Very, very old. Is he still alive? I don't know.
I think he's like 70. Yeah, he's still alive.
Sorry, Bob. Well.
Yeah, if you're listening to this, Bob, Yeah, I saw you recently in a YouTube video. Like, I think he was at some conference very recently. I think even Alexander Petikov might have met him recently. I'm not sure. They have a big Ohio Bigfoot conference.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I think that just happened. I can't remember. I always get my facts wrong. But anyway, that's what editing's for. So,
blueberries, throwing out the tent. He says, well, there's this dude that lives there. He has a property next door to him. All right? So you drive down this dirt road. You get to my brother's property. And it's not like markered off or anything like that. You're just supposed to know, okay, this is his. And then this is where the dirt road ends. It's his next door neighbors, who's kind of a weird dude. He lives in a camper sometimes, like maybe a few days out of the week. He works really far away, lives somewhere else. But recently, I guess he had a ton of like water damage to his camper. And he's just like, screw it. And packed up his car and took off and never been back. And when he first got up there, my brother, he's talking to the neighbor. And he dropped a couple of hints, like asked, like, oh, so what do you think about Bigfoot? My brother, well, whatever, dude. Don't try and scare me, like whatever. But he says, no, dude. I've had some stuff happen. So he's in this little camper, and he says someone's been throwing rocks at my camper in the middle of the night. There's no teenage kids out there. There's nobody out there, dude. I mean, scream at the top of your lungs. You could shoot machine guns all day out. No one cares.
That's a nice
dynamite.
My stepson was like, it was just teenage kids. I'm like, I don't think there's.
Dude, there is nobody out there. If you had a signal on your phone, which you don't, if you called the cops, you called 911. It's going to be at least half an hour, at least, if not an hour. You know what I mean? So. He's saying, oh, yeah, I got pictures of those footprints I found and blah, 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 blah. And I hear this thing scream once in a while. And I don't know. My brother's like, but slowly he becomes a believer. And he's going up there once a month or whatever and starts hearing some things and seeing some things. And he's telling me about it. And I'm just like, shh, whatever, dude. Whatever. You know, I figured he's just trying to do the same crap he did all growing up. So. Eventually, I made my way up there. I said, all right, cool, I'll go camping up there. Let's go check it out. Let's go see your property. Since he's put up like kind of a prefab little cabin and, you know, it's more of like a actual vacation spot instead of just go up into the middle of nowhere and stay in a tent. You have a decent little cabin. So, yeah. I go up there, and he's just a full bore. Bigfoot lives here. Bigfoot. I'm like, dude, give it up. You know, whatever. And everything changed.
This is your first night.
It's my first day. I got there maybe 11 o'clock in the morning. You know.
How long ago was this?
Last year. Almost a little over a year ago.
So. Okay, so a little over a year ago, you weren't a Bigfoot believer.
Not at all. 2 years ago, laughing. Totally laughing.
Right.
Just like, whatever, dude. Now, I wasn't like, oh, you know, a handful of them don't exist. Maybe. I was just like a maybe guy, but whatever, you know.
I didn't care.
Didn't think about it. Didn't spend any time thinking about it, ever.
Yeah.
Well, one time on a plane, I had a window seat going from L.A. to Boston. And I just looked out that window, and I was like, man, there is nothing for hours and hours and hours.
Yeah.
There was absolutely nothing. Not a house, not a little cities, nothing. There's a lot of empty land, like a lot of just, you know, nothing in America. And I don't know if people realize that. It's crazy. So I go up there, set up my little hammock, set up a tent, keep my gear in. It rained a little bit, and was just hanging out, getting used to it. I was cutting some firewood up and stuff like that, and he's like, dude, come here. Check this out. So I went over. I was on the other side of the dirt road. He was set up in the meadow. And then on the other side of the dirt road that you come in on is just thick woods. But there was a tiny enough little clearing to set up a tent and a fire pit out there. You know what I mean? So I'm over there. And he shows me, first thing I saw were these trees. You know, good 3 or 4 inch diameter. Very tall trees. Snapped at about the 8 foot height, maybe 7, 8 feet high. Just about 3 of them just snapped right in half. And I was
I'm
like,
still hanging
just
there.
yep, perfectly healthy trees. He was like, well, how did that happen? You tell me what happened here. I was like, I don't know. Very, very strange. Because they were so greenery. Their trees were perfectly healthy. You know, and what I was thinking about, too, was that these trees, the direction that they were bent was actually right towards where my brother was camping. Is that weird? I think that's a little weird. I don't know.
Okay.
So
this is what, for people that don't know, this is something that even Les Shroud, the Survivor man, he mentions this in his show, that Bigfoots do this, and we still don't know why they do this, right?
Right.
Or do you have a?
I mean, that's just
theory?
The theory. I have no idea. I think they use it as markers, like a little directional, like little arrows. Hey.
But why would they need markers if they live in in that area and they're so attuned to their environment? That's what I don't understand.
I don't know. For others, maybe to warn others that are new to the area or migrating through the area. I don't know. But all that aside, there's just a fact that these trees were broken like that is insane. Like, I could take one of those trees and bend it as hard as I could over my knee, and I'm not going to do anything to this thing. I'm not even going to bend this thing. So it took massive strength to snap these. So, but it's a type of thing that you and I, we didn't even know what we were looking for. I'd walk right past it. I wouldn't even really think about it. You know?
Right.
I wouldn't even think of anything about it. You know, go on, whatever. Tree broke, you know. When you really think about it, it's crazy. All right? So, he's like, Bigfoot, man. Totally Bigfoot. I'm like, it kind of started to be like,
How many of them were broken?
It's three or four. And there were some that were actually not right there. They were a little off to the side or whatever. But they were like bent down. And that was really bizarre, too. That was really strange to me, that they were like, you could tell that they were like forcibly bent down by something. The wind didn't do that. Snow didn't do that. Like, something manipulated those trees to look the way they did. Those were thinner, so they wouldn't break. You know, they were like a little thinner, maybe inch diameter, but they were tall. It was weird. It's hard to explain. Anyways.
And what were they kept in place by? If they were so springy.
They weren't really like tucked under a log or anything like that.
Right.
You know? But again, I'm just thinking, whatever, dude. You're trying to just point out stuff and just keep this thing going. You're trying to, you know what I mean? You're trying to make me believe in some Bigfoot, blah, 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 whatever, dude. So at that point, it was still extremely skeptical. I did find it bizarre. So, a few minutes later, let's say, you know, and actually it started a downpour. And it started raining really hard right around then. So I throw all my gear into the tent that I had set up. I had a tarp over the hammock that I was actually going to sleep in. We kind of wait that out, and then he goes and wanders off into the woods. I'm still there. I'm just getting my camping gear set up. He's like, hey, John, come here, look at this. So he's probably 150 feet off from where I was set up, and I said, all right, I'll go check this out. Went out there. There was about chest-high brush. And he walked through this brush a few feet, and there was a big clearing. It was like a 10-foot clearing, and it had all this grass matted down.
Oh, really?
And I was like, he's a Bigfoot nest, dude. It's a Bigfoot nest. I was like, what? Whatever, dude. You know? That was a little bizarre, too. That was a little bizarre. He said, what else could do? I mean, what else could do this?
Well, deer.
Right. But how many? You would need like 10 deer.
What size was it?
It was like about the size of this room that we're in right now.
Which is like about 12 foot?
Large. Yeah. It was big. And all the grass was matted down. So, again, it's like, well, whatever, you know.
Did you find any hair or anything like that?
I looked for hair. I would have loved to find some hair and been like, wow, you're right. Oh, my God. You know what I mean? But it was definitely very peculiar. It was definitely weird. Kind of freaked me out. That's when I started getting a little freaked out, to be honest with you. You know?
Well.
Big nest. Broken trees. I was like, okay, maybe he's not lying about this.
So the thinking is that Bigfoot's just a friggin' crash in the middle of the forest.
I don't know, yeah, maybe.
Lie there.
Mm-hmm. Maybe. Takes a quick nap.
And where else would they go? Caves.
Yeah, but there's really no
caves
mountain,
around.
like, yeah. So I don't know.
Jesus.
Sketchy.
Okay.
Definitely a little sketchy. And all this stuff is starting to come together. And again, this guy is just, making up all sorts of crazy stuff for my entire life. So it's like, but there was something different this time with him. He had a son with this woman, and they lived together, very happy, not married, whatever. But he says, I swear on my son, my nephew. And I know. I'm like, wow, dude. And I told him, I texted him, I was like, dude, you're a terrible person for doing that.
My dad doesn't do that.
He's like, I swear. And then he told me about the stuff that he's heard too. He's heard some screams and stuff like that up there. I cannot disclose the location.
I know.
We've talked about it privately, and you know kind of where it is, but
yeah,
can't say it on here. But all right, so I'm kind of at that point. I'm not as skeptical. I'm kind of like tripping out a little bit. Like, whoa, that is kind of crazy. I mean, you really do have to see this stuff in person to really get the full magnitude.
I would love
of it,
to.
Yeah. Well,
God,
I'd talk about that. So the next day, and again, you have absolutely no phone signal up there at all. You got to go at least a couple miles off of the dirt road you came in on. There is a general store out there, and you can send emails and sometimes get texts and stuff from the general store. Anyways, we decide to cross over the next day we decide to cross over the neighbor's property and into a big, you've kind of seen it on the map there, just a big forested area. There's like one snowmobile trail that goes through there that I can't imagine more than 5 people a year go through there on, So we go by there, we're walking, we see there's like a little trail, we go over this little handmade bridge, and there's this little trail that's not even big enough for a 4-wheeler, not even big enough for an ATV, barely make it through with a dirt bike, so we're walking on that, and just looking around, he's 30 feet in front of me, 40 feet in front of me, and I'm walking along, and out of the corner of my eye, to my right, I see a deer track, a little deer print.
Little 2 points, right? I saw a load of those today.
I said, oh, that's cool, And what was even cooler was there was this little sprig, like this little flower was just starting to grow up right out of the center of the deer print, I said, oh, that'd make a great picture. Crap, I don't have my camera. Right as I was thinking that, I realized the deer print is in the center of a enormous footprint, human looking footprint, and I just, my brain like melted, dude. I was like, what the hell? This thing's huge, it's like probably 16 inches, whatever. It was every toe, you could see every toe very clearly. The heel was actually really pronounced, and it looked old.
How deep in the ground was it?
You could have made a pretty decent cast. You could have made one. Would I ever find it again? I don't know. I could have marked it off and stuff. I didn't. I wasn't thinking like that. I was just thinking, I kind of want to get the hell out of here.
People say that a lot.
I just want to dip. I want to just be out. Like, this is crazy.
You didn't get a photograph?
No, I did not have my phone on me. My brother did not have his phone on him. They were useless. Other than pictures, but we didn't think we were going to run into a freaking giant Bigfoot footprint.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So, I will swear up and down for the rest of my life that I saw a print from Bigfoot, and it was not a hoax. Like, there's no way you could hoax.
Why would somebody hoax out there even? It's so silly.
It'd be insane. It would be an enormous, epic waste of time to do a footprint there. And again, it was extremely hard to notice. Like, I would have walked right past that thing if it wasn't for that deer print that was fresh on top of that hole directly inside that big, huge.
Now,
humongous.
Was there only one?
There was only one because of the terrain. It was really rocky. It wasn't like lots of just soft earth. You know what I mean? So, but that one spot, it was like dirt, and then it went up onto the rocks, and it's just really rocky and lots of grass and stuff like that.
They're
So
like
it
with
wasn't
VC,
really-
they cover their tracks pretty well.
Yeah. So blew my mind. I was like, dude, it's crazy. These things are legit. And it was over from there, man. I didn't even know how to handle it. I was just like, you know what? I left the next morning. Not gonna lie, I was planned to be there at least an extra day. So when we went back, I was like, it took a while to get back. We were walking for a while before we saw that. But when we went back, I had my shotgun. I loaded that thing up, and I actually I was shooting. I brought a couple steel plates, and I set those up, and I was shooting those just to say, hey, I have guns. I'm over here. Like, don't be coming over in my hammock tonight. You know what I mean? It was extremely sketchy. Just the feeling, like the hair on the back of my neck stood up. There's no way somebody faked that print. And obviously by the size of it, how this thing's got to be 8 feet tall, minimum.
Jesus Christ.
It's crazy.
So you went home.
I spent the night, packed up. As soon as the sun came up, I was like, see you later. I don't even...
So you weren't Mr. Bigfoot
No.
researcher.
No.
I want to go out there and find out what the
No,
hell.
absolutely not.
It just scared the shit out of you.
It scared me. Big time. Big time.
Yeah, that's what I don't understand sometimes, that these Bigfoot people I'm one of them that wants to go out there and have an experience, but...
Careful what you wish for, man.
Exactly.
I don't want to see one. I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to. I'm scared to see one.
I-
what it'll do to me as a person. You know what I mean?
I liken them to a cross between like a grizzly bear and a werewolf.
Okay.
Some of them might be like nice forest giants, and they're like people, like you said.
Exactly.
Some of them are nice, and some of them are absolute
Not
wankers.
cool. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they make me a little nervous because, like we were talking about, you might have some cool ones that are just like, oh, hey, there's a human over there, let's get out of here. You're gonna have some angry ones. You're gonna have some crazy ones. Like our people are crazy,
Yeah. So why did they throw blueberries at your tent?
I have no idea. You know what? I think it is after, over a year and a half.
Maybe juveniles?
Well, it could be. Could be they're curious. They're like, oh man, here's a human. Let's see if he'll come out. Let's see. It's like kind of like when you ding dong ditched when you were a kid. I don't know what you guys call it over there.
Knock,
Across the
knock.
pond. Yeah. So you just ring the doorbell, run off, hide in the bushes, see who comes out. Watch them scratch their head and go back inside.
It's
Maybe
probably
that's why.
It's probably kids.
Could be
It's probably
juvenile,
little
yeah.
kids.
Could be.
Kid Bigfoots, because I've heard one of the stories I was listening to today about some guy who was he was 16 and he saw one coming out of a, what do you call that patch? What the hell? It was a patch anyway. It was like 8 feet high, and he heard this weird cackling chatter. And he shot above its head and ran, and then he looked back and saw this 5 foot tall monkey-like creature. That must have been a kid,
Little Chewbacca Jr. Yep.
Yeah. I wonder if Chewbacca was the inspiration for, or if Bigfoot was the inspiration.
I mean,
you think so?
Yeah, I do.
He looks kind of like a lot of the photographs I've seen. But they always talk about the smell. You didn't get any smells?
No
or anything like
smells.
that?
No smells. I've heard a lot about that. The nasty, just rotting garbage, stinky, wet dog, horrible, oil in the actual air. No smell at all. I don't want to smell that. That means they're close.
Yeah. If you smell that, it's like a skunk. I think it's like a skunk.
Yeah. I think it's a defense for them. Or they just get super stressed out and then it kind of just leaks out, whatever.
Jesus Christ. So,
but
would you be up for, at some stage going up there with, in any kind of capacity? Would you do it?
probably not.
No.
I mean, it's not my property, but there is property surrounding that maybe I could go up there sometime with somebody, and
Is there a hotel nearby that you could just stay and take a day trip and go in there for a hike?
Yeah, sure. Sure, absolutely.
You could do that.
Absolutely. I think everybody would be okay with that, you know? But again, you know, I wouldn't want to disclose the exact location
Oh,
to,
no, we're not
too many
giving,
people. So.
We're not giving the location away whatsoever because, well, I told you about Crystal Panic that I had on here, and she handles all of the BFRO sightings in New Hampshire. And she's like, most people don't report it because they don't want people like traipsing around their friggin' backyard, and I don't blame them.
True.
So I would say that out of every 10 sightings, probably one is reported, and that's probably being, you know.
Yeah, that might be even pretty generous.
Yeah.
Estimation. But
there's no way, like, if I saw a Bigfoot in my backyard, and I don't really live in a big wooded area, but there's lots of woods, some woods out there, I wouldn't be putting it on the BFRO website.
No way.
There's
I'd
not a
pack
chance.
up. I'd pack up and move.
No, where, right, but where I would post it is if I was walking through the woods around the dam or something like that, and I saw a Bigfoot. Yeah, I would definitely put it on. So I think that there's a lot of.
So you wouldn't be overly concerned about people calling you a nut job if you were like, dude, I saw a Bigfoot over here, and you were like, dead serious.
That too, yeah.
I mean, would you care?
Would I care?
Yeah.
No,
I don't either.
I don't care what
Dude,
people
I don't care.
think.
Like, I saw what I saw. There's no faking it. That I mean, that other stuff actually made sense when I started looking more and more and more into this stuff. You know what I mean? Well, it's crazy. It's crazy. Then, when you have your own story, like I do, even though it's just a small little whatever, I saw this footprint, I saw some broken trees.
Class B encounter, right?
Yeah. You know, other people, when they know that you're serious and you will take them serious, people come out of the woodwork. Like one of my clients here at the tattoo shop told me that, you know, he was on Route 2 over here, which is just like a 2-lane road. Well, it's 4 lanes altogether in most parts.
A dual carriageway.
A dual carriageway.
That's what they call
That's
it.
exactly what it is.
In Europe, yeah.
Yeah. So it's super early in the morning. He's shooting out to do a construction job somewhere. And he's wide awake, had plenty of coffee. You know, he's just driving. He's pretty much the only car on the road at all. He sees this big. He thought at first it was a dude, like a hunter in a ghillie suit. You know, the big fluffy.
Oh yeah, with the snipers wear.
Yeah, like a sniper wears, right? So, nope. It was enormous. It was tall. It took 2 steps to get to the median. Popped over the median, into the bushes, dude. He was like, "What the hell?"
That's on the BFRO website. That sighting, I think.
It could be. Well, I don't know. This
heard
guy
about it.
isn't. It's probably this. I don't know. Same area, but this dude, he's real tight-lipped about it. I don't think he'd report it to.
Do you know where it came out of?
What's that?
Do you know where it came out of?
Oh yeah, around Gardner somewhere on Route 2.
I wonder, was
west
it near
there.
Lemonster State Forest?
Probably.
That
Maybe a little bit west of that. But
yeah.
Yeah, so he was just like, I don't care. Like, my brother, I called my brother at 4 o'clock in the morning. I was like, dude, I just saw a freaking Bigfoot jump across the dirt. And he just laughed at him, hung up the phone. So what are you talking about, dude? Go back to bed.
Who said is your brother?
You're crazy. No, this guy's brother. My client who saw all this, his brother said, you just shut up. Hung up the phone, didn't believe him.
But I don't understand why people get so, like non-believing about this kind of stuff. Because if I was to say to my friends back home, I saw a Bigfoot in my backyard, and he was 8 feet tall, and he ran 70 miles an hour into the woods, and I think they would believe me. You
Really?
know, people are kind of like skeptical. Like I'm kind of an outlier, and I believe in all sorts of shit. Excuse me, but I think people would believe me. I don't know why people don't believe people, especially their friends and stuff. I think it's like very it's not nice. I mean, when you tell somebody something like this and then you get ridiculed. Now my wife thinks it's totally crazy that Bigfoot exists, but if I saw a Bigfoot and I came home to her and I said, listen, honey, I was walking in the woods today.
I think that was a bear.
Yeah,
I think
a
what
bear.
you saw was a bear.
Yeah, a bear running full clip through the woods for like 100
Sometimes
meters.
they do that. Maybe it was a special bear.
Yeah.
I don't know. Everybody always has an explanation.
Yeah,
You know?
bear.
It seems like. I don't know.
Did you hear the hunter? There's a hunter that had he has a show on the I don't know. What's the hunting channel?
Hunting.
I think it's just
whatever.
Whatever. Yeah. But it's like he was like, I'm just going to tell you something now, and he was very frank and very like direct, and he has his hunting show. I'll link it to you later, but he's like, this is what I saw, and I've saw this more than once, and I saw a Sasquatch, and he said, I think he's seen it like 3 times, up in BC and the Northwest, and he's like, I don't care what you guys think, I don't care if you all think I'm crazy, but this is what I saw, and I know what I saw, and he's like, I don't care what you say in the comment section, but take it for what it is, and he was very frank about it.
Cool. Good.
So you're 100% convinced?
More.
Really?
More. Totally. Yep. I can't do that, just that one footprint. And it, again, like the deer print looked new. But the deer print right in the center of the Bigfoot footprint, I mean, that had been there a while. And just the type of terrain it was, you could tell that like it took some serious weight to get that impression on just the type of soil. Again, it's hard to explain. I'm killed for pictures of it. I don't know. It just blew my mind, changed my life. Started listening to all the Bigfoot podcasts, all the Bigfoot, documentaries, and even just the for fun stuff. You find the same common themes in there over and over and over. Like they throw stuff. They do the tree knocks where they're like, 3 knocks. It's like their echolocation GPS system, right?
We still don't know what that is, though. We still don't know if it's to alert them of us or to communicate with.
From what I've been understanding and researching, is like 1, 2, 3, and it's like, wait a second, over here. One will pick one up, and say, hey, I'm over here. So they say, oh, okay, you're over there. I didn't know where you were. Good to know. Right on. That could be it.
I wonder why they wouldn't just use vocalizations for that.
I don't either. I don't either. Maybe they're hunting.
Yeah.
Maybe they just don't want to let one rip.
Good Chewie impression.
Hey, thanks.
I gotta pee. I'm gonna pause this.
Okay.
1 second. You can have a bud. Okay, so we are back. Sorry, we took a little break there, but John was just telling me about
Hello, buddy. Hello.
how Bigfoot could be anywhere.
Anywhere. I mean, what we're talking about right now, from the center of our little old historic town here in Massachusetts, the sighting on Route 2 that we were talking about, the guy just took 2 steps and jumped right across the road. There was, how far is that from it? 25 minutes?
From here?
Yeah, maybe 15 miles, something like that. I don't know. Nothing crazy. It's pretty damn close to where we live.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Leominster State Forest is 20 minutes.
Right.
Gardner is probably en route to another 40.
Yeah.
I think it's 40.
Either way, I mean, that's close enough for me, man. I think that, my parents live up in Camden, Maine, on the coast, and I'd go up and visit all the time, and when I do, I have a secret little campsite on the side of a mountain that you go down a dirt road, you can park, and then it's steep, but you hike up the mountain a little bit, and I'd go all the time. I'd go solo and just camp out there. Just, it's definitely not like a campground. It's just a little level, flat little area. I built a little campfire, a fire pit, and I'd set up a tent and sometimes just set up a tarp, and I'd sleep out there all the time.
By yourself?
Well, yeah, sometimes I went camping with a girl one time, and that was, just looking back, it was crazy that, I'd bring her, and I'd call her the one that got away, maybe. But that's a whole nother story.
Was she into Bigfoot and stuff?
Not so much,
But then she didn't see a damn 16 foot long footprint.
16 inches.
Sorry, 16 inches.
Whatever. I mean, she did not see one of those, but she I'm sure would believe me, But anyway, so I would go. I've been up with her, and we'd go camping other places. We camped on an island one time, which was really cool. You had to actually canoe to the island. It was only accessible by boat, and that was awesome for It's my birthday, and there was a big blood moon that night, and it was pretty crazy. So, no squatchiness over there, but it was a great time.
Where was this?
This was in Maine.
This was in Maine, yeah.
It's called Isles. You take a ferry over to Islesboro, and then you go over to Warren Island, which is about half a mile away. But again, we had to take a canoe over there. It was pretty cool.
And she lives there now?
No, she moved down to Florida. So her mom's actually very, very sick.
Oh, that's terrible.
It's going through some chemo right now, but
maybe she can hear the podcast.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope her mom feels better soon, and I hope I get to see her again one day. We'll see. So, looking back, doing all this camping, just in the middle of nowhere, and sometimes I'd bring a 22 rifle. That's
pea shooter,
dude. Like a slingshot on one of these things. It's insane, dude. Now, and to be honest with you, I have not been camping since I saw that footprint up there in Maine near my brother's property out there in the middle of nowhere. So it got me shook, man.
Really?
Got me shook. Yeah.
That's funny because I still can't get this whole thing where I'd be scared. But then I hear people talking about it, and they're like, "No, we're scared. I seen this thing, and
Dude, I just think that, maybe there's people that watch Harry and the Hendersons, and they're like, "Oh man, these are big, fluffy, lovable, living
Chewbacca."
Yeah, but I think they can be extremely dangerous. Like again, with the
cannibals.
I think they totally. Well, if you look into a great thing to look at, there's quite a few books. I think there's about 6 books, and David Paulides does the Missing 411.
That's a good segue.
Is extremely sketchy. He talks about the national parks, national forests, like Yellowstone and stuff like that, and how people go missing all the time. And that the National Forest Service doesn't actually keep a record of people who vanish and disappear. He tried to get that through the Freedom of Information.
And it costs them like $1 million to get countrywide record.
They literally asked him for like 1.3 million to compile a list of people that have vanished from 1970 or whatever till now, and it's just ridiculous. So the national, it's like you said the other day, it's $1 billion industry. You know, the national parks and forests or whatever. So I do think the government knows damn well about the Squatches.
For sure.
And they can be extremely dangerous. I think a lot of missing people are taken by Bigfoot.
Well, let's talk about Missing 411, because it's a phenomenon that David Paulides, who's an ex-law enforcement officer, has brought to the public. And what is... Do you know how to articulate that story of how that all started?
Not so much. He just thought that it was extremely bizarre. Mm-hmm. A lot of these cases, people would just... so there's a man... This is on actually the film that they made.
And apparently it was very disappointing. A lot of people were very disappointed because of the whole Devils thing or something. I can't remember what.
There's a lot of weird tie-ins with the boulders and stuff like that. Well, whatever. So these kids are all playing hide and seek, and this kid's 100 feet in the bushes. There's a grandpa there or something, and hide and seek, and then all of a sudden this kid's gone. But he's next to a trail, and the dad comes out and he's like, "Hey, where's Joey?" or whatever, and he runs top speed down this trail, and the kid is just nowhere. He runs for forever looking for this kid. He just literally vanishes into thin air, And then later, if you really look into these things, you'll find some weird stuff like clothes will be found neatly folded up. There was a shoe. Remember that kid's shoe was found way up the side of a mountain. Yeah. The shoe looked brand new when they found it 2 years later. They found the top of his skull with like weird scratches on it, and that was it.
Yeah, so our European listeners, and I actually have listeners all over the world.
You do?
I saw someone in Indonesia today.
Cool.
Because I can see where people listen to me. But David Paulides and Missing 411 is a phenomenon. If you haven't heard about it, it's about people that go missing in state parks every year, and they will be basically, the last person or the first person in line. And they will go missing without a trace, and they will find. Sometimes they will find them alive, miles away, and sometimes they will find them dead miles and miles and miles away, up the top of a mountain or something. Like a 2-year-old kid will be on top of like a
thousands of feet up the
Yeah.
side of a mountain.
Yeah.
Like professional search and rescue people have a terrible time ascending. So it's definitely.
But sometimes they search a place and then the person will appear where they've already searched.
right in the middle of a trail that these searchers have walked up and down 50 times to get back to base camp. Boom, there's a dead person. You know?
That is so messed up.
It's crazy. Now, they're not eaten, you know, but they will find them dead. So I don't know if, you know.
But some of them are never found. Maybe they're the ones that are eaten.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's different types of Bigfoots. But a lot of people say alien activity, you know, could have picked him up and dropped him. And I don't know, but...
Could be.
But I think that if these Bigfoots are as stealthy and as superhuman as they say, which they probably are, if they live in the woods and they're as big and as strong as they are, they could probably take out a 6-year-old kid pretty quick if it's like 150 feet behind his dad who's not paying attention.
They're like ninja masters
Yeah.
of the forest.
It
I
sounds
think. I
like
mean,
it.
They're just super, super stealthy. You hear about stories about people up in a hunting stand, you know, with their bow or whatever, and they're, 20 foot up a tree. All of a sudden, here comes a Bigfoot, pops right into their lane, their shooting lane, kind of sniffs the air, looks directly at them.
You see the red eyes.
Yeah, and they just kind of freeze. The hunter makes a move at all, and it just bolts, or some let out a big crazy scream, and then, they're pissed off that you're there,
Did you hear the story about the forestry worker that went into, it was Washington, where Mount Helen is, and she was just starting off in her career, and she went on an expedition to do some forestry work.
Yep.
And she was like doing her internship or something, and she camped, and she got like encircled.
Ooh.
Yeah, like a female Bigfoot encircled her, and kept encircling her camp, and she got the hell out of there. And I don't know if she ran or not. This was on it was on Dixie. The Dixie Cryptids YouTube channel. That is very interesting.
I gotta look that one up.
That's a good one. That was the one where the kid went into the barn and fell into the hole, and there was all rotting deer down there.
Ew, nasty.
Yeah, that's.
Ooh.
I'll not go on about that in the podcast, but that's a long story. But there are so many stories, and like we've had this whole conversation about Wes via email, and the whole controversy with Wes and stuff, and they did this.
You're talking about Wes. What's his last name?
I don't
From
know.
Sasquatch Chronicles.
Yeah, and it's a great show.
Great podcast, Sasquatch Chronicles. Definitely check it out. That's where he has over like 500 episodes. I think I've listened to every single one. And
number 87 is the one where they break down him and his brother and address all of the controversy surrounding their
views on kill or no kill, or
their actual encounter.
Oh yeah.
Because so many
in the
people
truck.
say that the moon wasn't full that night. It was raining really hard and you couldn't have seen anything. So they do a whole show on it. And I don't know. I think Wes is maybe realistic, and he thinks that these things should be seen as very, very dangerous.
Same here, dude. Same boat.
You think so?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You hear stories about gifting. People will say
leaving apples out and shit.
Yeah. They'll leave little goodies out for these things, and they disappear when they come back out there in the morning, and when they stop doing it, things get crazy. They'll hear screaming and rocks, like huge rocks being thrown on their roof and all this other stuff. Like they are PO'd. You know what I mean? So I think they're violent. I think they have or have the capability to be extremely violent, just like human beings. You don't know who's who. You walking down again, back to my butthole brother. He keeps popping up, but this dude's walking. He lived in Chicago for many years, and he was walking on the street one day. there's this big giant dude that kind of looked like Debo from Friday with the bike. Anyway, Google it. So anyway, this giant dude's walking down the street and he's just like, bleep, 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 and he's cussing, he's screaming. All these people are like, whoa. They go to the other side of the street. My brother's like, I'll just gotta keep my head down and walk right past him. And this dude just hauled off and socked my brother in the face as hard as he could for no damn reason.
Really?
He's just walking down the street. He was mad. Here's this dude. I'm gonna punch him in the face.
Is your brother a big guy?
Not really. Nope. He's about my same height. He's about 6 feet tall. Not super buff or anything. He just crumpled like a sack of potatoes, and the dude just kept walking. And I think Sasquatch are the same way. I mean, if they're in a bad mood, or you piss them off by being, in their area when they're hunting or doing whatever they do, I don't want to take the chance, dude. No way. And I mean, I could go up camping with a trunk full of guns, and it doesn't make me feel any better about it.
Really?
Oh yeah. Just not doing it.
But
of course, I will go camp. I want to go camping again.
But if you do it, you will have a 12-gauge shotgun.
Oh, you better believe it, lady. Yeah.
My son was like, ask him what kind of weapon would take down a Bigfoot, because I have my kids now totally convinced about Bigfoot.
Good. Well,
50. They're all like 50 cal.
Oh yeah, 50 BMG.
50 cal would do it.
Yeah, that should work pretty good. But you know what? I just look back on me going up there in the woods with a 22. I'm like, what? You know what I mean? Might as well shoot a spitball at it through a McDonald's straw or whatever. I mean, what's that gonna do? It's just gonna irritate it, and then you're definitely gonna die. So, again, trunk full of guns still doesn't make me feel better. But yeah, you're right. I said I'd probably go with a 12 gauge. I'd load it with double-aught buckshot and just maybe aim for vital areas.
Well, you still, like in Vietnam, Vietnam analogy again, you still wouldn't want to go into the jungle knowing that there's VC out there, even if you have like a full squad of guys with all the weaponry that you can muster.
Because they got the drop on you.
Yeah, it's still going to be like you're in their territory and they can take you out. So
easily, they could pop out of a little hole, or they could just be up in a tree, and you don't even see them, but you take the shot, whatever. I don't know, man. It's crazy to me that so many people are disappearing in these national parks. There is no, when you see this stuff on the news about Bigfoot and all this other stuff, it's tongue-in-cheek. They just laugh.
Make a joke out of it.
They make a joke out of it, and it's not a joke. I think it's extremely sketchy, extremely dangerous. But again, you're gonna do what? You're gonna have maybe 10 people disappear over the course of a few years in this specific area. But the amount of revenue that they're bringing in from this park or this forest or whatever, it far supersedes that loss.
Yeah.
I mean, what do they care?
So I'm going to ask a Wes question here.
Oh.
So what do you think Bigfoot is?
Oh, well, I'm glad. I don't know. I think about that all the time. Like, what
is he a Neanderthal or a gigantic Pithecus? Or is he a alien?
No.
He's not an alien. I don't think he's an alien.
No, he's
flesh and blood.
Absolutely flesh and blood. You hear these people talking about going through portals and all this other crazy stuff. There's UFOs in the area, and then Bigfoot comes. Like, I don't know, dude. I just think it's a big, weird, gorilla human crossover, terrible thing. I don't really know. I'm not sure. More Neanderthal-ish, I guess. Gigantopithecus-ish. Yeah. I think they're extremely intelligent, Yeah. And so are gorillas. Gorillas are, we know, they're doing sign language. They're talking about peanut butter sandwiches. I want a peanut butter and berry sandwich. Sign into the lady, Coco. And so we know those are extremely intelligent and can learn sign language, and then increase that cranial size by 2 or 3. You're gonna have a very smart animal. I think you were talking about if I've heard the chatter that they do. That sounds like Japanese Like, that's
pretty good.
And you're like, what the hell? You're like kind of making out words, but you're not. I've never heard of that, but I've heard recordings of it, and I think that they're communicating with each other, like
sure.
just like we are right now.
Yeah,
I think so, and I think maybe that's how a lot of them know about humans bad, bang bang, guns. I think.
Well, they've seen was it you that was saying, or were probably just sitting watching Gettysburg? No, it was maybe it was somebody else, but I was talking to someone about like Gettysburg, and could have been Sasquatches just sitting watching, like people just like slaughtering each other, and they've probably seen it, and they probably know what we can do, and they probably know how dangerous we are.
Right, or they have seen somebody out there with a Remington 700 and 308, and just boom, they shoot a deer, and they go, oh, whoa, holy
shit,
crap! I put two and two together and say, all right, we don't want none of that.
We have to chase this horned thing down and rip it apart before we can have dinner. These guys just put a hole through it and drag it off.
I think they get it. I think they know.
Do you think that there are any Sasquatches around here? Like Clinton area? The dam?
No. Not here, but I think they're close. Again, Gardner's right there. 40 minutes away, 30 minutes, whatever. I think there's a lot more of them than people think. I think a lot of people, just the general public, think there's like one who's in Oregon or Washington or whatever. Like Bigfoot is singular. No way. I think there are clans, pods, whatever.
Tribes.
Yeah, man. All over the place. I don't know. What do you think? I'd say it's at least a couple thousand.
Well, Bobo, he's like everybody says a couple of thousand. I don't think that anybody really knows, but there has to be to maintain some kind of a population.
Sure.
Do you watch Bobo much?
I don't know who Bobo is.
Bobo, Fay, what the hell is his name?
Boba Fett?
No, not Boba Fett. The long-haired fella. He's wears a baseball cap. He's fighting Bigfoot. He's a bit of a character. A lot of people think he's a fool, but I don't think he is.
Really?
I think he's kind of cool. He was on a Joe Rogan show and stuff.
Cool.
Bobo Fett something, but he's kind of a cool kind of a character, and he got kind of. I think there was a point of contention with the Fighting Bigfoot show, and he was kind of pissed off that it started to become a reality show, and he didn't want that. He was serious, even though he comes across as a kind of a big character, and he's like, I think they used him to sell the show because he is kind of a likable, big, blowhard kind of a fun guy. But he's actually serious, and he's intelligent too.
Well, what do you think about those shows, Finding Bigfoot and whatever?
I've watched like 2 of them.
Same.
And I think that I will watch it. Oh my god! I mean, it's entertaining as shit, but I will watch it, and I'll watch anything Bigfoot. I'm obsessed with the damn thing.
Yeah.
I will watch anything Bigfoot. It's all fun, even if it's not true. And a lot of the accounts and stuff, even if it's not true, I think that it's still fun. Now, somebody in the Clinton forums the other day, I'm not mentioning his name, but he said that forget Bigfoot. What about the UFOs seen over the reservoir?
Yeah, I've heard about that. That's kind of crazy.
Now, my barber, Brian.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know Brian, but he has his own barber shop right beside the Crystal, and he saw UFOs like 3 times right down by that area where I live. I live right. My living room looks onto the back of the dam.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
I live up on the hill there.
Cool.
On California Court. So, just for all you stalkers out there, just in case you want to find me.
Swing on by.
Yep.
Break in, sniff my underpants.
All you Michael Jackson fans that hate me and I've been arguing with for days. But, yeah, that's where I live.
Cool.
And I've got a big window, and you can see the dam right there. And I got these really high-powered binoculars, so you can actually, watch people, like on the dam and stuff.
Oh, that's kind of creepy. So.
No, it's for the kids.
Oh, right.
It's not for the kids. I bought it for the kids.
Whoa. You're watching up there from Neverland Ranch and doing propofol or what?
Yeah, Neverland Ranch. Yeah, that changed my life too, much like Bigfoot. But so, what do you think of the UFO thing? Have you ever seen anything like that?
I've seen 2 UFOs in my lifetime, and one was I was 16 years old in Black Duck, Minnesota, and I was walking home on a dirt road from my friend's farm, and looked up in the sky. I saw something crazy, changing colors, changing shapes. I had no idea what it was. To be honest with you, I thought it was some weird military prototype, whatever. Again, it was one of those moments I wish I had a diaper. I was scared as hell. Yes, because it was not the altitude of this thing. It was hard to determine, but it wasn't jetliner altitude. It was like a helicopter. Like I think how I could see it could see me, and it was kind of after dark. There was a lot of ambient light from the stars and the moon or whatever, but I was walking down the middle of the dirt road just because it could be like weird animals. There's bears up there and everything else. Like I'm just walking in the middle of the road, so if something crazy does come out, at least I'll have a split second to Minnesota. Yep.
Could be grizzlies.
Black bears.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Definitely a lot of black bears and other weird stuff up there. So I saw that and just creeped me out, and it lasted a few seconds, quite a few seconds, maybe 15 seconds, just kind of vanished on its own. It was crazy. I told people about it, and they were just like, yeah, whatever. So no one really cared, and went on with my life. But it was definitely crazy. And the thing is that I don't have the words to describe like what it was doing, other than morphing, I guess would be a good word, and it was kind of changing colors a lot. It was crazy. So years and years later, I'm working at a law firm in Southern California, and I take a toll road out to another office to just pick up some documents and whatnot. So I'm driving out there, and I see some people on the other side of the toll road. Looking out is just basically like desert, whole lot of nothing. So I see these cars pulled over, and I'm like, oh, they got a little fender bender or whatever. And I noticed they were holding their phones, taking pictures of something. So I looked out, and there was this big black, like kind of cigar-shaped thing, just completely stationary. I was like, whoa.
How far away?
I have no idea. I can't even.
It's too hard to describe.
A couple miles, but it was. You could tell it was really, really far away, but it was enormous. So I was like, wow, this is going to be all over the news. I think we're getting invaded by aliens right now. Crap, I got to go back to work. I got to go home.
Russians.
I got to get the hell out of here. And so at the time, back then, I had just a terrible phone. I didn't even bother to stop and take pictures. It would just show nothing. So I was like, well, whatever. Went there, got back to the office, immediately jumped online and just started looking for reports and what's going on. It's insane that this thing that other people were seeing and stopping their vehicles, taking photographs of, was nowhere to be found in the media at all. It was crazy.
Everyone's pulling over on the highway.
Yeah. A couple people were pulled over, taking pictures and everything. It was just broad daylight.
How big do you think this was?
I don't. I'd hate to speculate.
2 football fields?
Possibly. At least one. Definitely two. But again, it was really far away. It was just hard to kind of determine the size. But
we don't have that kind of stuff in our armory or our arsenal.
No.
How would that even work? Well, the cigar-shaped thing, that would not work.
I'll be honest, after I saw that, I did kind of the same thing I did with the Bigfoot thing when I saw the footprint. I was like, all right, I'm going to go find out whatever I can find out. I did that for like a year. I looked into all the UFO stuff, and it's just crazy.
Came up with nothing.
Crazy world. Yeah, I mean, you could say, oh, well, Lockheed Martin built this TR-3B, and that's what you were seeing, and blah, blah, blah. But there's so much just crazy. There's a lot of kooks. I even went to a...
there's a lot of kooks in the
super
UFO
kooks,
world.
dude. Like, I went to a UFO meeting, and there's just the craziest people. I was like, this isn't for me.
I went when I was 19 years old in England, in Rochdale, where all of the grooming gangs were. I lived there for a few months, and I went to a UFO meeting, and the guy that ran it was wearing like a wig.
Oh,
and he
cute.
Yeah, like a ginger wig.
Ooh,
and he had
ginger.
big thick glasses.
Yeah.
And he had like a big like badge on saying UFOs aren't alien to me. Like,
cool.
and they didn't want us there because we were all like, a lot of the guys that I was with were all like hippies and punks, and so we were squatters, you know.
Yeah.
And a couple of guys had dreadlocks and stuff, and you could tell that they didn't want us there. They were all like guys with, probably like yourself, like with beards and like drinking Guinness and stuff, and like having serious conversations about UFOs. But we kind of wanted to, talk about it, seriously, but they didn't really want us in the building. So,
Well, whatever.
but yeah, the UFO community is a kooky community, and but maybe the Bigfoot community is too. I don't know, but anybody that is really into Bigfoot and has had experiences with them, I find to be very rational. And
Rational?
I keep saying
Reasonable?
that. Yeah, anybody that has had an experience, I don't know. Maybe it's just the people I've ran into, but like yourself and like Crystal Panic and other people, David McCulloch from Squatchachusetts,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
seem to be like,
Pretty normal people, right?
yes,
Not crazy weirdos.
No.
Yeah.
And now, are you a member of any organizations? No.
I am not. I just want to not really make it this enormous part of my life, you know what I mean, and be super, super involved. And so, I mean, I've seen enough, dude. Just that one day, or in the span of those 24 hours or whatever, I've seen enough to just know, And I've heard enough encounters and experiences and all this other stuff to just be like, all right, I don't feel the need to join the BFRO or whatever, and
Not even for like community's sake. I mean, just to say, hey guys, this is what I saw, and
no, my classification of whatever is just so low. There's other people with better stories
I know.
and better experiences that can go and spread the word.
But your story's still good.
Oh, it's okay.
It convinced me.
Yeah, well, dude, I saw what I saw. I'm not an idiot, you know what I mean? I know
Right.
what no one is going to go out there into the literal middle of nowhere and make a footprint like that in the dirt that no one would ever see. That I barely saw that. Somebody else just walked right by, didn't even see it. Like, what the hell's the point? If you were going to hoax that, you go down another couple hundred yards or whatever to where the big snowmobile trail was. Pop 2 or 3 of them right in the center of the trail.
Why would people hoax it anyway?
I don't know.
Maybe 1 or 2 people in the whole country would do something like that.
They want attention. They're bored. I don't know. It's funny.
What about the crop circles?
Oh, jeez.
That's another can of worms. Like, look at those things.
Yeah, it's too bad, because maybe there's a few of them that are actual legit.
Some of those things are works of art, and
They are
they're
really
like,
cool. Like, it's from an art kind of viewpoint, they are pretty cool, but I don't
Chris, could you tattoo
too
something
much.
like that?
Sure. Yeah, that'd be cool.
They're amazing. Some of them are like, you
Super
want to see in
interested,
Russia and England and stuff,
Yeah.
or like, what the hell? And we've forgotten about the crop circles, I think, in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
But they're still going on. Cattle mutilations are still going on.
Yeah, that stuff's pretty sketchy.
Yeah, and they have their organs removed and stuff. And I think there's
laser
something.
precision.
Yeah.
Like, that's definitely sketchy.
So I think there's something going on. And people are ignoring it and just living their lives. And like, I don't have time to research all of this stuff. But then through the podcast, I can kind of have a bit of fun with it and talk to people that, have some kind of belief in it or that are interested in that kind of stuff. And that's what the podcast is about, so I can get to talk to all these people like yourself. And this was my in. Like, writing is very hard for me because I think I'm almost dyslexic, I don't know. And I'm ADD. So when I started journalism...
You're talking to the poster boy, ADD right here, brother.
So when I did my whole... When I finished my course in journalism, I worked for a couple of magazines and stuff, and it was very hard for me to sit down and write out something. it's a pain in the balls to sit down and like type or write something out, but to actually talk about it is a lot easier. So when, like I said earlier, when the podcast thing came along, I'm like, shit, that's my in.
Yeah.
That's my creative outlet. And like yours with the videos and stuff, your videos and the characters that you do, that's very talented.
Well, I appreciate that very much, dude. Because you are a good boy. And when you are a good boy, Mr. Ding Ding will come and bring you a piece of American candy. Sometimes a Kit Kat, a Jolly Rancher, or something with caramel nougat. But you have to make sure that your sandals are outside and you put American candy underneath. Okay?
Sorry, I had to get a Mr. Ding Ding in there.
Is it the
real
guy
quick.
across the street?
No, that's super rude, actually. That's
I'm just kidding. I'll cut that bit out. No, he's funny. He's like, when I buy a scratch ticket off him, he's like, come on, let's go.
Wow, the younger guy?
No, the older guy.
Oh, yeah.
He's
Mr. Patel. He's a great guy.
Yeah, and they're they're always very educated because they grew up with the English education system, so they always have very good English and they speak very proper.
They do.
That's because
great guys.
The Brits ripped them for 100 years.
Pretty much, yeah. But they invented Australia, so that's pretty cool.
Who did?
The Brits.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. They invented Ireland.
Good
too.
on you, mate. It's all right. It's all right over there.
Somebody said
I
something.
like it.
Somebody said something on the Facebook page. I think it was one of my brother's
I
friends.
seen that. He was like, "That's not how we talk, mate." But you're all right.
But you've
He's like, "Oh, okay, well, that's what we think you talk like." So
I thought it was pretty bloody close.
It was all right. I think I do okay.
I thought it was a regional accent. I think it was the Australian kind of rednecky accent.
All right, I'll take it. Whatever.
Like, you ever listen to the podcast Case File?
Maybe, probably.
He's
Case
very
File.
good. He's
Sounds familiar.
Case File is very good, and he is it's an Australian podcast, and it's true crime, and he.
Yes. I think I came across that once or twice.
He's got an
But,
accent like your Brock McKee.
Brock McKee. Yeah, man.
Very funny.
My mom grew up in Australia, actually, so I thought that was pretty cool.
Now, where is she from? Is she from America and grew up in Australia?
Correct. Yeah. So she's not an Australian citizen, but she was born in Indiana, but then shortly moved to Sydney, right on Sydney Harbor. She lived for many, many years with her sister and my grandparents.
Is she still alive?
Oh, of course, yeah. My mom's she's good. She's going strong. Grandparents
Nice.
have passed away, but she's been back a couple times, several times, and I was fortunate enough to go with her 2 times to Sydney and go check it out and see where she used to live. And well, her house has been all bulldozed down, and a McMansion was up there now. I mean, that's a really, really like ritzy area nowadays, but back in the day, in the 50s, it was not so much. Nobody wanted to live on Sydney Harbor. It was
you were telling me it was
sketchy. A lot of people were concerned about like Japanese subs in the harbor, and just I don't know. They just didn't want to be anywhere near that place for some reason. I guess.
I thought Melbourne was the big place that they thought that they were going to invade.
Yeah,
and that's where they were putting a lot of the Allies were putting all of their attention. But my grandfather was in Dunkirk. He was bombed, and his ship went down. Yeah, that was one of my first big articles, and he was in the water for hours, just with like human body parts, like 3 feet deep. He said,
"Yikes!"
And he said the Stuka bombers were coming down and trying to light the oil on fire and stuff. Never talked about it until
Sucks.
3 months before his death. He talked about it. He was in North Africa and like Yugoslavia and shit.
Crazy. So it's kind of like the USS Indianapolis situation where they were just like stranded in the water, waiting for pickup. Right?
Yeah. Well, he said
nuts.
When he was like jumped off the boat, and he slid down the rope, and all the skin from his hands came off and stuff. And he was in the water, and he saw the boat going down, the HMS Lancastria or the Horonsay, whichever one. One of them picked him up, and one of them went down, and he said that he could see guys in the portholes singing "Roll out the barrels, roll out the barrels." That old London East End London song. They were all singing that as the ship was going down.
Whoa.
Yeah, it messed him up.
I can imagine. That
Yeah.
would definitely be a terrible day.
Yeah.
So, wow. That's crazy.
But yeah. So we're at 1.5 hours. That was a good conversation.
Jeez, that went by quick.
Yeah. We're going to have to go squatching sometime.
Absolutely.
Somewhere.
And shooting. We'll go shooting.
Oh, shoot.
Before we go squatching.
Yeah.
in case,
Oh, yeah.
you know what I'm
Like,
saying?
teach me how to fucking shoot
Absolutely.
a 12 gauge before I encounter one of these madmen.
You never know. You know?
Well, thank you very much, John Hilsmeyer.
It was a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Okay, guys. And we'll talk to you soon.